and welcome back, friends. My name is Michael Yates. This is the Ridgeview POD, where we try to cover everything hope, healing, and recovery related. As always, we're glad you have chosen to spend some time with us. My guest today, Nathan Wray, it's been forever since you've been here.
It's been a minute.
I'm glad you're back. I'm still, when you were last here, you brought gifts, and this was one of them.
That was one of them.
I still am proud to use my Roane County Anti-Drug Coalition cup whenever I can.
I'm impressed. I eat chili out of that cup quite often.
I've done everything from oatmeal to ramen noodles to soup to coffee and tea. So yes, it's
multi-purpose.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Just like Ridgeview.
Exactly. Yes. Nicely done. Nicely
You're welcome.
Done.
You're welcome.
Well, I mean, I have had the pleasure since we last recorded to hear you do some of your new things out with public speaking generally, but almost also a little motivational speaking.
Yeah.
I think one was with the East Tennessee Council on Children and Youth, maybe, at Calhoun's.
Yeah.
So how are things going? Tell me what's new in your life.
So they're super busy. So I still am full-time at the Roane County Anti-Drug Coalition. Love what I do. It just doesn't feel like work over there. And I don't know if, I'm sure that is just like exactly what you do here. It just doesn't feel like work. And so when we do assemblies through the Roane County Anti-Drug Coalition, we always see these great speakers come in and they tell their stories, and they have these really inspirational moments with students. And when I started working at the coalition, I thought, like, man, I can do that. I have a story to tell, and I have enough information to where I think I can maybe educate even adults, but I can also educate students. And so I started practicing a lot, and then I started reaching out to people and asking if I could just come and speak. And then all of a sudden I got really, really busy. And so I've been speaking at a lot of schools all over Tennessee and all over the nation.
I was about to say, it's not Tennessee anymore.
Yeah, I'm actually on my way to Michigan in just a couple of days. So so it's picked up, and we're really just sending the message to students that you have to take accountability for your own actions. Part of my story is that I didn't graduate high school when I was supposed to. Supposed to graduate in 1996. I didn't take high school seriously. When they told me that I needed to buckle down, I didn't. And I had to take accountability for my actions. I ended up getting my high school diploma a year later. And so I tell students, you have to take accountability for your actions. You have to live drug-free. Part of my problem was I was using a lot of marijuana, drinking a lot of alcohol, and using a lot of nicotine, smoking a lot of cigarettes. And so, you got to take accountability for your actions. You got to live drug-free. And then you have to live with purpose. And those are three major things that students need to do. And if they can't do that, they have to go back to step one, take accountability for their own actions. And so I spent a lot of time in schools educating students on how to do those things. And it's just been a really incredible journey and a lot of fun.
Well, I mean, you said you have a story to tell. And I think that is the beginning, as reflecting enough on your own life journey to realize, I mean, we all have a story to tell, but to get to a point and place in your own understanding of your story that you're ready and prepared and the want to actually share it, package it in a way that connects.
Yeah. It's been really healing for me as well. And I think that for people that think like, well, no one would want to hear my story, or I don't know how to tell my story, if you just start sharing it, even if you don't have a large audience, it's not even about people hearing your story, it's healing.
Yeah.
It's really healing, and it's worth sharing.
Yeah. No, that's beautifully said. I think one of the great gifts of our certified peer recovery specialists here at Ridgeview is one of they have this wonderful approach trying to help people identify the method by which they are most comfortable sharing their story. Maybe it's art, maybe it's poetry, maybe it's just one-on-one with a neighbor, because of the therapeutic benefit that they get in simply sharing their story.
Yeah, it's really amazing, because I always tell students after an assembly, some students will come up to me and they'll say, "It's really cool what you do. I would like to do what you do." And I'll tell them, like, well, you have your own ways of doing that. You don't have to do it on this scale. You can do that in your own community. You can do it in your own school. And I'll ask them, like, what is your favorite coping skill? What is something you like to do? And I had a student tell me one time, I like to write songs. And so I told them, why don't you write a song that's your story? And so they actually sent me an email and had told me that they had recorded their song, and it's their story. And they're starting to share it with their friends now. And it's just absolutely incredible. You can do it in so many different ways.
Yeah.
You know, it's really cool.
I can see both of us are smiling ear to ear just in you telling that story.
Yeah.
So well, I mean, I had the good fortune of being with you all at the beginning of May, which is National Mental Health Awareness Month. And one of the things that I shared was this growing sense of another epidemic that we're dealing with around loneliness.
Yep.
And some of that was predicated on work done by Jonathan Haidt, but you mentioned earlier connection. Mm-hmm. And I've seen you not only in person, but then also through Roane County Anti-Drug Facebook, your community activities. You have a gift of connecting with all ages. Mm-hmm. So that's also a wonderful and rare gift, is that you can bridge that connection. And in the face of an epidemic of loneliness out there, what a great treatment.
Yeah.
You're fostering for those kids the power of connection.
Yeah. That was a gift that I was forced into, and I originally hated it. Mm-hmm. I'm a military brat, and so we would move, and then we would move, and we would move. And I learned really quickly how to connect with somebody, because I would have to make friends fast. I have a birth defect, and so I would get made fun of a lot. But if I could connect with friends quickly, I wouldn't get made fun of as much. So I would go into a new school and I would connect with somebody really quick. It would be a t-shirt. Oh, you're a 49ers fan. I love Joe Montana. Isn't he great? Oh, Jerry Rice. He's the best wide receiver I've ever seen. So I would connect with people on that way. I would also watch comedians late at night, and I would just study them and learn how to tell a joke. And then I would make kids laugh when I got to a new school. So I would really use that power of connection to keep myself safe. Yeah. What I didn't know is that I was learning this power of networking, in a sense, that gave me that ability to connect with just about anybody. Yeah. And so it's given me this like almost unfair advantage to connect with so many just different students, so many different adults. But it's also been really incredible because I can take a group of people from across the country and say, you know what, I know exactly who you need to be connected to all the way across the country, and I can bring those two groups together and help them work together to serve so many different people. And it's absolutely amazing to watch happen. So
that's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
So the power of networking if you can just take things that you like, and when you see somebody, even if it's just a shirt, oh, I like your alligator shirt. You know, I went down to Florida one time. If you use those things, you can connect with kids. And glasses. Oh, I love your glasses. Did you pick out those? I almost picked out pink glasses yesterday. If you can do those things, kids go, oh my gosh, he noticed me. Oh my goodness. He wears glasses too. They pick up on those things, and then they want to interact with you. The last thing is, if you know their language, if you know their language and you understand their language, they'll connect with you, and they'll talk with you.
Wonderful. Yes, take notice. Have you ever taken the Myers-Briggs?
Yeah.
Do you recall introvert, extrovert, where you were on that?
No, it's been a while. I would say I'm probably a mixture of both, I think. And my wife tells me I'm introverted, but I think I talk so much outside of the house that when I get home, I'm just like, oh.
Well, the reason I bring that up is because I am an introvert, a very strong introvert. Now, I can do activities that present as though they are extroverted activities, but they drain my batteries significantly.
Yes.
So given, I'm always interested in making sure and wondering how people are taking care of themselves. So Nathan Wray, who is now not not a Roane County public speaker, not a Tennessee public speaker, but now becoming a national public speaker. How are you taking care of yourself, especially if maybe you are a bit introverted? How do you recharge your batteries?
So I have recently started exercising and eating healthier. I've lost 25 pounds. So that's a big win, but that's just one way. I also hired a life coach, and I see a counselor. So those are a couple of other ways. But typically, spending time outside of the home with my family, we do little adventures. We spend a lot of time in different parts of Tennessee. We'll take little weekend trips here and there. Just being with them really kind of centers me and kind of brings me back down to
off the stage. Off the stage.
Yeah.
I mean, that's great. I mean, you can be gifted at something like you are, and yet it also won't recharge your batteries. It'll drain your batteries. And so I think it's, a given, in honor of Mental Health Awareness Month, it's always good to kind of remind ourselves and attune to how does someone who is giving so much out there also make sure that they're being mindful of their own mental health?
And that is important. I will say there was probably a time, probably about 3 months ago, where I was just to a point where I remember late at night I closed my laptop and I put it away, and I thought to myself, I just need to stay in Roane County. Like, that was my thought. And I knew that wasn't my purpose, and I knew that wasn't my mission. I'll always be in Roane County. Like, I love my community, so I'll always be there. So don't misunderstand that. But my mindset was so drained and so empty that I just was not in a spot to where I just felt like continuing outside of Roane County. And I knew I had to use some positive coping skills, and that's when I hired my life coach.
Great. Very good. Well, I have one last question for you. So I'm curious about people's process. So, are you continually editing, revising the story that you share, or do you, I've packaged that one, I'll use that for that particular audience. Now I want to craft something to talk about this.
Yeah.
And then you start working on that? How does that work?
Yeah. So it's really interesting because when I first started, it was, we have this vaping epidemic in our schools. And when I first started, it was a lot of schools saying, we want you to come in and talk about vaping. No problem. Nicotine is what I started with. I can do that. And then I started hearing from schools that were receiving grants for opioids. And they would say, what can you do for opioids? Well, I have some part of my story of friends who have passed away from fentanyl overdoses. And so how do I weave that into my story? How do I change that to where I can add that into my story and still make an impact with what I'm doing? And so I have the nicotine side of it. I have a marijuana presentation, so nicotine, THC presentation, and then I have the opioid presentation as well. And so part of the way that I do that is I created a Family Feud style game that we play before I tell my story. And so there's 10 questions. We'll pick 10 different students to come up. Well, actually, it's 20 different students because they have to play one-on-one. They've got game buzzers. And so we ask the question, they try to hit the game buzzer to answer first. But all of those questions are either about nicotine, THC, or opioids.
Okay.
And then we go through all the questions. The kids have a ton of fun with them. They're very serious questions. But for the moment, they have fun with the questions. After each question, there's a moment where I talk about that question.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about 22 kids losing their life to fake prescription pills every week in the United States. Why is that happening? Because over 80% of teens don't misuse prescription medications. It's the fake prescription pills. They can't tell the difference. They don't know. So educating them in that moment and then going in to my story and telling them about my friend who helped me get my high school diploma in summer school. I lost touch with him, and then going back 4 years ago and looking for him, not knowing where he was, and then finding out he passed away from a fentanyl overdose.
Wow.
Yeah, and so there's ways that you adjust.
Yeah.
If a school wants, and not everybody can do that, but for me, because of my experience at the coalition and thinking back to my life, it's allowed me to look at things and say, you know what, that's my experience, and I can adjust that for a school if they want it.
And your recent change about increased activity and weight loss, I see another chapter of storytelling that you can build around.
For sure. I can't wait for that one. Yeah, big life change.
All right, we like to, since you were last on, I don't know that we were closing out with rapid fire questions, but just a couple, if you'll humor me, just first comes to mind. Are you a night owl or a morning person?
Night owl.
Okay.
Yep.
Favorite movie?
Hudson Hawk.
I did not see that one coming. Why?
I have no idea.
That's Jeff Bridges, right?
No. It's Bruce Willis.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Hudson Hawk. It's just off the cuff comedy.
Okay.
And that's me.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. You guys heard it here first.
Yeah.
If you were to have 3 guests over for dinner, living or deceased, not family members, who would they be?
Living or deceased. Okay. Abraham Lincoln.
Okay.
There's one. Jeff George, old former quarterback of the Colts.
Oh, yes. Purportedly the strongest arm in football at one time. Yeah.
Yep. My question for him would be, what's wrong with you? And the third one...
Is that after dessert or before?
It's the first thing I'm at, right when he walks through the door. What's wrong with you?
All right.
I'm just kidding. And then the third one, I guess the third one would have to be General Patton.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I would like to have dinner with those three people.
That would be an interesting.
I think that they all had to make very difficult decisions. They all had to be very strategic, and they all had to work with people they didn't necessarily want to. And I think we've all had to do that in our lives, and I think they could all give some really great insight on how to work through those things.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Final question, best decade of music?
Oh, man. I'm gonna get so much grief over this. Just decade or decade in genre?
Well,
I've got to give the genre.
After you pick the decade, I'll ask give me a sample of what you mean.
90s.
All right, and so like a song that comes to mind?
Ice Cube.
Oh, okay.
Good day.
All right.
Just waking up in the morning, gotta thank God, I don't know, but today seems kind of odd. No barking from the dog, no smog. Mama cooked a breakfast with no hog. There you go.
All right. That's a perfect way to close this out.
There it is.
Brother, Nathan Wray, thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
It is always a pleasure. Great fun. And we hope you have had great fun listening in. Continue to join us if you would. If you haven't, please subscribe, ring the bell so you get notification of future episodes. And we appreciate you spending time with us today. Take good care of yourself. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.